Hello guys. In this video, we are going to discuss about science chapter number 1, that is crop production and management. Basically, we are going to learn about how the crop is produced and how it is managed. It means how it is stored, etc. In this video, I am going to give you all notes, some important notes related to the chapter. So let's start with it. First comes necessity of food. Topic number 1 is necessity of food. All living organisms require food. Plants are the only organisms on the world which are capable of creating or producing the food. Animals, including humans, are unable to do this. We require food because energy from the food is utilized by organisms for carrying out their various body functions, such as digestion, respiration, and excretion, etc. We get our food from plants or animals or both. In order to provide food for a large population, regular production, proper management, and distribution of food is necessary. Next comes agricultural practices. Now, what is crop? This question may be arising in your mind. What is crop? When plants of a same kind, same variety are cultivated at one place on a large scale, on a large area, it is called a crop. Crops are of different types like cereals, vegetables, and fruits. Crops can also be categorized or classified on the basis of seasons. On the basis of seasons, crops are categorized into Kharif crops, Rabi crop, and Zaid crops. Next comes crops classification. On the basis of season, as I said, crops are classified into three types, that are Kharif, Rabi, and Zaid. So let's learn about each of these types one by one. First is Kharif crops. What is Kharif crops? The crops grown in the season of autumn, or we can say in the season of rainy season, are known as Kharif crops. These crops are also known as autumn crops, or you can say monsoon crops, because these crops are grown in that seasons. Some examples of such crops are jowar, maize, or you can say corn, soybean, rice, or you can say paddy, millet, etc. These crops, the kharif crops, are sown in the season of July and harvested in the season of September or October. Next comes rabi crops. What is rabi crops? We have learnt about kharif. Now what about rabi? Such kind of crops are also known as winter crops. Why? Since they are cultivated, they are created in the season of winter. They are sown in the month of October or November and harvested in the month of February or March. Some examples of such crops are wheat, peas, barley, gram, mustard, etc. Next comes Zaid crops. These are the crops grown in summer season. Uh, they are they are grown actually between March and June. Some examples of such crops are cucumber, watermelon, bitter gourd, and pumpkin. Next comes basic practices of crop production. What are the basic practices? What are the basic steps, the task that is required to produce crop? So let's learn about this also. Cultivation of crops involve several activities undertaken by farmer over a period of time. A farmer has to perform several activities, several tasks in order to produce crop. These activities or tasks are referred to as agricultural practices. And agricultural practices are listed below. First comes preparation of soil, in which we prepare the soil so that the seed can be sown in the soil and it can be grown in a new or good plant. Second step is sowing. Sowing means putting the seed into the soil for the growth of plant. Third is adding manure and fertilizer. Fourth is irrigation, watering plants. Fifth is protection from weed. Weed are the unwanted plants or unwanted crops that grow near the healthy crops, and it damage it. So we have to protect it. Sixth is harvesting, and the seventh is storage of crops. Next comes preparation of soil, which is the first step of agricultural practices. The first step usually include turning and loosening up of the soil. This process of loosening and turning of the soil is called tiling or plowing. The first step before all the kind of sowing the seed and all the processes, we need to prepare the soil. We have to turn it, we have to loosen it so that it has a the roots can penetrate deep into the soil. The roots even can breathe into deep into the soil. This allows the roots to penetrate deep into the soil. The loose soil allows the roots to breathe easily even when they go deep into the soil. The loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes. The earthworms and microbes are also considered as farmers' friend, since they further turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. Next comes agricultural implements. What are the tools? What are the basic tools, or you can say the basic equipments, modern equipments that we use in order to produce crop in the process of agriculture? These are some of them are listed below. Some of them would be listed in my next video. First is turning and loosening. For turning and loosening, for this purpose, we use plow, hoe, and cultivator. Plow is a traditional tool which have been used since past. Hoe and cultivators are modern equipments. Next is sowing. For sowing, we use modern equipments like seed drill, and some traditional tools are also used for the purpose of sowing. Next is leveling. For leveling, we use a leveler, and for harvesting, we use a sickle, and for both harvesting threshing, a modern equipment combine is used. Next comes plow. This tool is used for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, and turning the soil. So plow is used for many purposes: tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, and turning the soil. This is usually made up of wood or iron and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals like horses or camels. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called plowshare. The main part of the plow is a long log of wood called a plow shaft. Next comes a hoe. Hoe is also a modern equipment. It is a simple tool which is used for removing weeds and for turning and loosening the soil. It has a long rod of wood or iron. A strong, broad, and bent plate of iron is fixed to one of its ends and works like a blade. It is usually pulled by an animal. You can see the pick of hoe in my slides. Next comes a cultivator. Nowadays, plowing is done by a tractor driving cultivator. The use of cultivator saves labor and time. Next comes sowing, the second step in order to produce crop. Before sowing, we need to decide what what type of seeds we would be using, because some of the seeds are damaged also. Hollow Some of the seeds are hollow by inside. So we have to choose good quality, clean and healthy seeds in order to grow crops. And usually farmers prefer high yielding seeds. The process of planting the seeds into the soil is called sowing. Sowing can be done by traditional tools as well as modern equipments like seed drill. Appropriate distance between the seeds is necessary to avoid overcrowding of plants. This allows plants to get sufficient sunlight, nutrients, and water from the soil. At times, a few plants may have to be removed to prevent overcrowding. Next comes a seed drill. Nowadays, the seed drill is used for sowing with the help of tractors. This is a modern equipment which is used nowadays in order to sow seeds. This sows the seeds uniformly at equal distance and depth. It ensures that seeds get covered by soil after sowing. This protects seeds from being eaten by birds. Sowing by using a seed drill saves labor and time. Next comes revision questions. So in this video I would be discussing only this much topics only. I would not be making the video too long, but let's revise what we have learned. Some of the questions, some of the answers of the questions which I am giving, you have to write down in comment those answers. I have not given the answers. Some answers I would be giving by myself. First comes fill in the blanks. Paddy is example of dash crops. Here we have to tell that paddy is example of which kind of crops. The paddy is example of which kind of crops. You can write down in comment box. Dash can be used for harvesting and threshing. Dash and dash are considered farmer's friend. What and what are considered farmer's friend? The main part of the plow is a long log of wood which is called a you have to tell in the comment box. The process of loosening and turning the soil is called dash or dash. Examples of Z crops are, you have to just give the examples of Z crops. Next come, define the following terms. You have to define all these 7 terms in description box. Sorry. In comment, you have to write down the definition of all these 7 terms. If your topic is not clear, please watch the video again so that your topic is being clear. Next is a question, and I have only given all the answers. What is a plow? I have given the answer in brief. This tool is used for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds, and turning the soil. Plow is used for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing weeds, and turning the soil. This is usually made up of wood, iron, and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals, horses or camels. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called plowshare. The main part of the plow is a long log of wood called a plow shaft. Next question is, what are agricultural practices? Farmers have to perform several tasks, several activities in order to grow crops, in order to cultivate crops. And these tasks or these activities are only known as agricultural practices, which are being listed below. First is preparation of soil, second sowing, third adding manure and fertilizers, fourth irrigation, fifth protection from weeds, sixth harvesting, seventh storage. Next, the last question, what are the 3 types of crops on the basis of seasons? Define each. Kharif crops. These are the crops grown in autumn season. These crops are sown in the season of July and harvested in the season of September or October. Example of kharif crops are jowar, maize, or you can say corn, soybean, rice or paddy, millet, etc. Rabi crops. These are the crops grown in winter season. Such crops are sown in the month of October or November and harvested in the month of February or March. For example, wheat, peas, barley, gram, mustard, etc. Zaid crops. These are the crops grown in summer season, March to June. Example, cucumber, watermelon, bitter gourd, and pumpkin. So in this video, I discussed only about these things. I've given also some revision questions. If your topic is clear, if and you are able to answer the questions, then it's all well. If you are unable to answer the questions, then you can watch the video again.